I think the Democrats should try to work with the president where they can. Infrastructure, trade. I mean, there's a lot of agreement on trade. I think Bernie Sanders even said he'd work with him on trade.
Right.
So I just think David Brock had a meeting of bigwigs, and it was going on at the same time as the inaugural weekend. Words coming out. They put together a document summarizing the meeting, and they want to push toward impeachment, push toward blocking everything. So that's at least one segment of the party, and then I think you have another segment that wants to try to work with him on some issues. So hopefully the faction that wants to work with him will prevail, and we'll get some cooperation.
Yeah, I had a question about, how we can go about, Trump's health care plans without kind of going over a socialist cliff, because it kind of seems as if we're kind of going in a direction where, there's this government health care. And what even mind boggles me even more, I voted for Trump. I think he's been doing great. However, health care is a big concern for me, and I think it's very interesting that somebody like Rand Paul is writing a kind of a government health bill, and I just kind of want to know what your take on it is.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the question. I don't think we know yet. I mean, I think everything's sort of up in the air as to what is going to be the next step as far as healthcare. I think we're going to see possibly, my cat here is getting in the way. We're going to see possibly.
That's another Trump voter.
I think we're going to see possibly Bill Cassidy's plan get some traction. He, of course, just unveiled it the other day, which was sort of your states' rights. If you want to keep Obamacare, you can keep Obamacare. And I think that surprised a lot of folks that he would have introduced that. And then, as the caller said, you have Rand Paul. He's got a plan. So I don't think there's been any consensus as to what the replacement to Obamacare is going to be. All I was telling my listeners was that he ran on a repeal and replace Obamacare platform, and they had to deliver on that. I want to thank him for calling in, but I agree with him that I'm worried about another socialist plan. I'm worried about another big government plan. I mean, I would think what the American people would want is something that would be effective and efficient, and something that would help those in need, maybe a safety net, but give people freedom whereby if they don't want health care, they're not going to be forced to buy it. And we're going to take the shackles off of small business, too, where they've been forced with the employer mandate to provide health insurance for their employees that work over 30 hours a week. And I know a lot of businesses have cut their employees to 29 hours a week, and people have been scrambling to, take multiple jobs. So I'm hoping they address all that. I'm hoping we have portability. I'm hoping that we have competition. I'm hoping they have expanded use of health savings accounts. So I think they're all kind of things that can be part of a solution.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk a little bit further. In terms of Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, one of the things that really, and I had mentioned to you many times on your show, and maybe even here, that the real problem that I was having with the Republicans, quite frankly, is that they were responding without telling the truth. In other words, they were saying, hey, we need to repeal. And I understand why they want to repeal. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Obamacare, Affordable Care Act works in many ways and doesn't work in many ways, okay? So, but, when they said repeal, but they never had a plan.
Right.
And so I had mentioned, 2.5 years ago, I said, you cannot repeal without having a plan, and you can't repeal because once you repeal without a plan, then basically what you're doing is you are putting all of the policies that are in place in jeopardy. For example, if you're an insurance company and all of a sudden, okay, you have a repeal, and you get say a message that Joe Jones had a pre-existing condition, now he wants to get surgery, but you're saying, wait a minute, when did you have this pre-existing condition? Oh, it happened before Obamacare? Well, I'm sorry, but you're not covered now. Because under the repeal, there is no pre-existing condition coverage. And, the thing is that, over 60 times, roughly, they went ahead and tried to repeal without telling the truth. Or being knowledgeable enough to disclose what the problem is. And now you had Donald Trump saying that it's going to happen almost simultaneously. So, that didn't give me a whole lot of confidence, Jeff. It really doesn't.
Well, I think it's still a work in progress. I don't think they've agreed on a replacement plan, and I think it's still being discussed. And I guess Bill Cassidy was the first one out with his plan with Susan Collins. So they beat everybody to the punch, but I know there are going to be others. So I guess we'll see which ones pass and which ones don't, and then take it from there. But I'm a little bit surprised he didn't have consensus and get all of the party leaders behind one plan to be the replacement. So let's repeal, but we replace it with what?
Yeah.
I agree. We've got to have something to replace it with. And I think that's the challenge, because there are lots of different ideas. But they've had 6 years to figure it out. More than on 7 years.
Almost, yeah. But I thought he had a plan already. A big, beautiful plan. Everybody would have great insurance.
Right. And he may. But
he didn't have it when he said. Anyway.
I'm hoping that comes up, because that's one of the key planks of the Republican platform was repealing and replacing Obamacare. And I still think the American people are against Obamacare. The polls I've seen show it's unpopular, so I think that'll be something that'll help its popularity. One thing I've been heartened by is that despite all the protests and all the various issues that have happened in the past week, his popularity has gone up with the average American. Got a 59% approval rating in one poll. So I think people like the fact he's being decisive on some of these executive actions. Meeting with the Republicans today, I think, was good to try to coordinate. He's also invited some Democrats to the White House, and they met with him. What I really liked was the labor union leaders going to the White House, because that's not normally a constituency of the Republican Party. They're locked up with the Democrats. And if he can establish a relationship with labor unions, that would be historic. That would really be revolutionary as far as transforming the Republican Party. I'd love to see the Republican Party become the party of the working man and woman as opposed to the party of the elites. And I think it had been the party of the elites, and they lost. And Trump is transforming it into the party of the working man and woman, and he won. So he needs to expand that.